as the end of the NFL season comes to an end and signing day is just a few weeks away, several of these HBCU athletes have a story to tell. And this one athlete in particular that we're going to talk about today is none other than James Houston IV. Because one thing you got to understand, sometimes the road that you're traveling is not the road that you're going to end up on when it's all said and done. Looking at how he went through a lot of his setbacks as well as his comebacks while at the University of Florida, one thing he understood was this: what sense does it make for you to be in a situation that's not going to be beneficial for you? Now, I say that to say this for a lot of you athletes out there that are looking to figure out where it is that you're looking to take your talents to next season to continue your collegiate football career. Because a lot of you out there may be looking at Power 5s and PWI programs where you're going to be 4 or 5 down the line in the depth chart in which you're not going to have an opportunity to start. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to break down to you how this HBCU got James Houston in the right place for him to get to where he's at today, right after this. You know it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos. And tap in a friend to tell them to come on in. It's not but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and tap on in this thing and get straight to it. Because I know you're like, Coach, what you got brewing over there? Well, check this out, guys. As I'm sitting there last night watching James Houston and the Detroit Lions knock off my middle son's Green Bay Packers team, in which, you know, I know he's highly pissed off that they lost and they're not in the playoffs, but things happen. And in this instance, it brought to my attention the fact that this young man got out here and bust his behind to get to where he's at. Now, a lot of times people don't understand the roads that people have had to travel in order to get to where they are. In this instance, this young man had to go through a winding road to get to where he's at now, in which sometimes you have coaches that pay close attention to the athlete itself and understand, hey, listen, we might have him in a position that may not be beneficial for him later on down the line, especially when you see an athlete that has the ability to get out there and play on the next level. Now, I'll say this. As many of you remember how everybody was celebrating James Houston when he got drafted by the Detroit Lions to come play. I think it was in the 6th round he got drafted to come play for the Detroit Lions football team. And everybody was talking about the University of Florida. But I'm going to tell you this. You forgot about Jackson State. Why I say you forgot about Jackson State? Because at Jackson State, this is where things got a little more dicey. Things got, not dicey, but things got a little more clear for him. And I'm going to explain what I mean by clear. Because when you're playing in a lot of these programs, for instance, while at the University of Florida, Houston playing time was cut because he had coverage issues. Now, according to the Sports Illustrated article right here, it states that the UFS defense struggled as a whole, and Houston was a part of a linebacker corps that underperformed. But the article goes on to talk about how Houston was utilized primarily for a down here demeanor with the ability to make plays in the backfield. Ding, 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 there go that light bulb. Light bulb just clicked off, said, oh, I found somewhere I can put this young man and he could be dominant at a position where the pros, the NFL teams would take a look at this young man and say, hey, we can utilize him out there on the field with his talents because of the ability of him to get back in that backfield and disrupt plays. Now, I'm not sure if the University of Florida coaches might have missed this, or maybe they had an athlete that was there at that position that they felt that, you know, Houston couldn't outplay him as far, you know, couldn't beat him out that position. You know the word, they always use the phrase beating an athlete out at a position, you know, when it comes down to trying to get that playing time. And maybe, just maybe, there was an athlete that was playing at the position, the defensive end position for the University of Florida, in which the coaches didn't quite think that Houston could get out there with that young man to, you know, remove him out that position or at least get some snaps at that position. But I say all of that to say it comes down to that, and a lot of these athletes begin to see that their playing time is cut. You know what's going to happen next. They're going to bust a move. What I mean by bust a move is they're going to get out of there, they're going to hit that transfer portal. They want to see something different as far as, hey, I need to go somewhere where I can get out here and showcase my talents have the opportunity to get out here on the field and compete. I want to play. I don't want to sit on the bench. I don't have that much time left from an eligibility standpoint. So I want to make sure I'm able to maximize my time getting out there on the field and competing in the manner in which, a lot of these athletes are looking to do. And one thing I say is this, him transferring out, going to Jackson State, that was an eye-opener, not only for him, but for the coaching staff itself. I got to give Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders, and Coach Thurman their props on this, because the one thing that they saw in this young man, and I wonder if by chance they just saw the article where it talked about how the University of Florida, they utilized Houston primarily in a downhill demeanor with the ability to make plays in the backfield. And guess what? That's exactly what Houston came into Jackson State and did. Now I know a lot of folks are like, well, why didn't we saw him back there trying to play linebacker? Why didn't he stay at that position? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Looking at the linebackers that they had at that position at that time with Aubrey and Hampton, that was a tough task to fulfill, because, I mean, look at it from this standpoint. Aubrey Miller in the 2021 season had over 100 tackles for that season. Keontae Hampton had 79 tackles for that season. And who came in third? None other than James Houston IV, who had 70 tackles that season. The one thing that stood out the most for Houston was the fact that he had 24 tackles for loss, and he had 16 and a half sacks. Now, anybody in their right mind that's looking at getting a speed edge rusher to come in and play in their NFL program is going to take a look at this man, because those stats are jumping off. Those stats are jumping off the screen at coaches trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, what in the world was this young man over here doing? This young man was balling. I mean, he was just flat out just getting after it out there on the field. Everybody look at the variables to see exactly how an athlete is going to fit into their program. And some felt that, Houston didn't quite fit those measurables. But you know what? As time went on and folks are beginning to find out, especially in the Detroit Lions organization, they're beginning to see exactly what they have their hands on. But the one thing is, I got to give Houston props for one thing that he admitted in an interview that he did with Jim Rome, in which he stated that he had to have a reality check when it came down to him being cut from the original 53-man roster for the Detroit Lions, in which it let him know, hey, listen, you might be good, but you still need to work on your craft. And that's a lot of times, a lot of these athletes, when they get drafted, that's something that they don't do. They think that because what they were able to do on a previous level, they're able to really get out here and still do those same things and be competitive to the point to where they're going to see those same numbers jump out the screen at coaches, where they're going to say, hey, this young man really can get out here and ball. Let's go ahead and do more with him. One thing for certain is this. You might feel you the baddest man out there on the field, but guess what? There's another 52 badder men out there on the field than yourself. And they're out there looking to get that spot as well. So in this instance, when he got cut and they brought him back to come play on that practice team, that was an eye-opener for him, in which he said, hey, I'm going to go ahead, work on my craft and get things together. And boy, did he. He jumped out this thing, boy, like a lightning bolt. I mean, you got to give this young man his credit. Through 7 games, this young man had 8 sacks. 8 sacks in 7 games. Houston logged 8 sacks in 7 games. Now, what the Detroit Lions are seeing right now in this young man, as far as his ability to get out there on the field and get after it, is something that we saw at Jackson State. It's something that a lot of folks saw at the University of Florida when he was playing the linebacker position. But understanding the fact that you had coaches that sat down and actually looked at where this young man would best fit out there on the field only made sense. And in this instance, Coach Prime and Coach Thurman, they said, hey, we're going to allow this young man to continue to be the disruptor that he is out there on the field. At a speed rush position on the edge, in which it paid dividends for him. One thing I want to say is this. There's a lot of athletes out there right now that are looking at where they're looking to go to continue their collegiate football careers. I did this piece on James Houston because I want people to understand the fact that you too can make it from an HBCU. James Houston, I don't want to do the what ifs with this young man because he has so much talent as far as his ability to get out there on the field and make it happen. One thing for certain is this. This young man takes pride in his game. He takes pride in being able to get out there and fulfill his dreams, fulfill being able to do the things that he's able to do out there on the field. Because this young man definitely is a visionary when he sees exactly how things go down. Because another thing that was in the article that he spoke about with Jim Rome was the fact that, you don't get to sack the quarterback in practice. But when he got out there on the field, he was able to sack Josh Allen in that game where they lost against the Buffalo Bills. Everything clicked. Everything clicked so seamlessly for him out there on the field. It was almost like practice. And that's where he began to understand that he has arrived. I want to say congratulations to James Houston IV on the great season that he has had with the Detroit Lions football team, and definitely look forward to seeing what this young man can do next season. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of family members of mine that's from Detroit, Michigan, who say, uh-oh, he did a video talking about the Detroit Lions. He must be getting ready to become a fan. No, I still love my Denver Broncos. I just wanted to give props to James Houston IV, who I've had the opportunity to watch him get out there on that field and play while he was at Jackson State University. And looking at what he's able to do right now from being shifted from a middle linebacker to an outside linebacker, defensive end, out there on the field for the Detroit Lions and being able to do this season, I just want to salute him for that. So, to that end, congratulations, James Houston IV, on a phenomenal season. But until next time, be the one and lead.